Welcome to 13. It's been a minute. I know last week was off. We're back. Obvious story this week. I talked about it Thursday, and I said, and I've been getting emails, requests about it. So of course we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about what I mentioned Thursday. DoorDash has partially moved 2 markets to a W-2 employment status. It's a little complicated. We're going to roll through what we can today in 13. Tomorrow's podcast, or this week's podcast, the audio podcast that also will drop on YouTube and other social platforms, will go into much more detail about this. This is going to be the main story of this week because we're going to dig a little deeper into it. Let's see what we can get through here today. So what am I talking about, right? Maybe you haven't seen it, maybe you have. I'll put the article link in the notes below. So just, if you want to read it afterwards, take a look at it. It's very clear. So DoorDash is moving 20% of its drivers in 2 markets to W-2 status. Now, I had some people who did read the article reach out to me and say, well, wait, is that because of the earn by time and they're going to do it through the... Let's be very clear here. So on September 25th, this last week, DoorDash announced publicly that it will be working with 2 companies, one in Austin, Texas, one in Fresno, California, that will be providing 20% of the drivers. So let's real quickly separate. So if you are a DoorDash app-based driver, you will not only are you not going to have an option to move over to the W-2, like that's not going to be something in the app you see. They're trying to fill those jobs with non-DoorDash drivers already. So they want people who aren't used to this system. It's going to be hard to find because so many through the years, even if they don't still do it, have at least tried DoorDash. The type, people who would go take delivery jobs. So you're going to have a hard time finding people who haven't done it. However, this is where it separates. So the Austin and Fresno, 20% of the DoorDashers needed at any given time will be W-2 employees. W-2 employees of who? DoorDash? No. DoorDash is selling the blocks to 2 companies. Now, here's what we need to note. These will be hired W-2 employees. You will go in for an interview. You will have an interview. You will decide, and they will decide. And then they might offer you a job, a W-2 job. Understand there's a huge difference here. These new hires will be completely separate from the app. Nothing to do with the app. They will have schedules. They will have bosses. They will also, one unique thing is that for these drivers that will be I'm making a little joke here, but for the 20% that do choose the W-2 status, at least acceptance rate is going to be super easy because it's 100% or you're fired. Not even you skip 1 in an hour. Again, you're not on the DoorDash app. We need to really separate this, and I'm going to go into detail in the podcast this week, but we need to separate this. You are not a DoorDash app worker anymore, and you are taking DoorDash orders, but just for all you Dashers, understand this is completely separated from the app. Anything you know about how it works and earn by time, you can miss 1 per hour, but that's it. You can only skip 1. This is different. You're not going to be paid for active time. Are you getting excited yet? Are you waiting to hear the magic number? Because let's talk. I'm going to get into both markets and both the companies behind these because they're both highly suspect and do not have good track records because of what we'll get into. But regardless, so you will have a boss, you will have schedules, you will take every single order on your shift. Again, this is not active hourly pay, this is hourly pay. And you will get basic benefits of a W-2, but they are at the very bottom of like what they have to cover. So like unemployment is in there. That'd probably be the biggest one because you're going to get some health perks, but there's more like stipends. But before you get excited, let's look at Austin first. We're going to jump into both these hardcore on the podcast, trust me. So don't miss it. Austin, here's what you have to look forward to. If you decide to go, and do I want to mention the... I'll save the names of the two companies until the podcast tomorrow, because we need to, when I bring them into the light they need to be brought into, I want to be able to discuss it and not have to just roll past it real quick. But Austin drivers, here's what you get to look forward to. So 20% of the orders there will be given to a think of it as another entity. And that entity will make sure that those 20% of the orders are delivered. Now, what part of the orders are those going to be? Who knows? I have some theories, and we'll talk about the theories on the podcast. Again, I don't like putting that out there because 13 is news. This is just the news part. But you will get $13 an hour. Okay? Not active. You will get $13 an hour for your scheduled hour. So if they schedule you 4 10-hour shifts in a week, which I've seen that, it doesn't look to be like they're scheduling, what they're going to be hiring is 4 10-hour shifts for the 20% that they fill. So they want people to work 4 days, 10 hours a week. They will pay you $13 an hour. Now remember your W-2, so you're going to lose taxes on that too. So 13, take out about 30%. You're going to walk away with about $10 an hour. In your paycheck, guys. And here's the thing that it all, I've been following all of this. It's all wrong. But what's really wrong is this part. A lot of times this kind of has ended over time, even with pizza places and delivery companies as such. But in the past, a lot of times that where places employed you, you had a company vehicle. This is not a company vehicle situation. You're giving up independent contractorship on these apps to go work for $13 an hour, $9 to $10 an hour after taxes. That's it. And you will get 10 cents a mile. If you're trying to even figure out, well, okay, what does that do? Like, what it does, that's just, dude, that number right there it speaks volumes. You're gonna get screwed, dude, because not only if you're it's almost like they did that as like, hey, look at this little extra pay we're gonna give you, because look, you're gonna be taking look, if there's one going 22 miles, you're taking it. You don't have the choice of going, no, I get to pass on 1 an hour on earned by time, so that's the one I'm gonna pass on. You don't get that. You have a 100% acceptance rate. You will be taking it or you will be fired. Straight up. This is a W-2 job, guys. Most of you have had them. We've all had them, right? I mean, pretty much. I don't think many people came right into gig economy, but maybe you did. But most people have had a W-2. This is what this is. And your boss will be saying, take this order. And you don't get to go, I decline. There's no acceptance rating, bro. He's going to say no, you don't decline and go do it. So all the long haul mile ones. And now think about this, like at least where I live, there's a lot of up and coming build areas that have been builds for a long time. And the houses are finally now not just kind of mostly finished. Like all the houses are finished, but the restaurants and everything haven't been put up around them. And they're like out of town a little bit. So now, guess what? Now those people get deliveries. Like this is my example. That's like I know a place like this that has a gas station and a grocery store, and it has one fast food. It's not McDonald's. I can't remember what it is, but they're about 22 miles from me. Now in my zone, because there won't be zones either. You just can deliver to wherever you're told. They can deliver to there now under the W-2 model. And they can say, hey, you employee, take this there. Okay, so I'm going to drive 22 miles. I'm going to drive 22 miles back. That's 44 miles. Okay, so I'm going to make $4.40 for 44 miles. Plus 13 an hour, which after taxes is $9 to $10 an hour. So even on a high mileage hour, I am going to make, I mean, let's add the 4 in, 4 and 17. So we'll just call it 4 for a second. 17. Now take out 35% for taxes. You know, I mean, hey, you potentially could, after taxes, make $12 an hour. So that, and at the same time realize, yeah, you're being paid for some miles, but you're running your car into the ground too. First of all, without the mileage and the fact that you're running your car into the ground, take that out. I wouldn't take 12 an hour. I wouldn't take 20 an hour from these companies, because you're going to have to take everything. So you can't multi-app. You can't do, this is a W-2 job. And it will interfere with how many dashers they're going to allow in those markets to be the other 80% who will be on the app. Because understand that if they can have any offer taken because they're sending the 20% blocks of the orders in blocks to this facilitator that will get them all done, the few orders that are left, either, you know, none of them might be good, or there might be some mixed in good ones, but it's not going to be the old, you know, it's not going to be like, oh, decline. Where I think the fail will come in is that I don't think they will be able to pull off the margins of employee retention. DoorDash, I mean, dude, even if they are trying to hire in people who have never dashed for them, good luck, because you're coming in at the low, like, I know minimum wage in Texas and California is what it is, but at the same time, you're coming in at the lowest pay possible. You just are. You know, you're just trying to pay the most ridiculous amount. Part of that is, so let me say this. First, shame on both hiring companies that we will discuss on the podcast this week, both of them. Both of the companies are simply LCSP pushers, and LCSP companies means these hiring entities, these two companies, are also now sticking their hand in your pocket and pulling money out. So you're now getting DoorDash money, but even less because of this crap. Again, shame on both companies, and we will be discussing in detail. But the partial employee scaling, that could hurt the app-based drivers, but I think in the long run it won't, because who's going to beat their vehicle down? Who's going to want to schedule a boss requesting time off, not getting it? Those of us who need that flex, and taking every shift and every delivery your boss gives you, or guess what? You will be fired. And that's 13 minutes of news in just under 13 minutes. Peace, y'all.